This next question is just asking for the inverse. So I can go ahead and list my operations. For f of x, the first thing I'm doing to x is subtracting 2. The next thing I'm doing is dividing by 3. Then I'm cube rooting. Then I'm multiplying by 5. Then I'm adding 6. So my inverse, I'm going to start the last thing I did and undo that. So my first step for the inverse is going to be subtract 6. Divide by 5. Cube. Multiply by 3. And then add 2. So my inverse function should be x minus 6 divided by 5 cubed, multiply by 3, add 2. Number 7 is asking for me to solve. So I need to first isolate that radical. I'm multiplying by -3, so I need to undo that. So I'm going to divide both sides by -3. That's going to isolate my radical and leave me with -27 on the right side. So now I need to cube both sides. And that's going to get pretty big. I don't know the cube of -27 offhand, so I'm going to go to my calculator. Cube that. I get -19,683. So now it's just asking for x, so I can subtract 4. I get -19,687. And I'm done. Cube roots don't have any extraneous solutions. It's all real numbers. I'm not worried about restricting my domain. So that has to be my answer. And then number 8 is asking, how does this function relate to its inverse? So symmetry, domain and range, x and y intercepts, intersection, all that. So that looks like it's very similar to number 3. Which I didn't find my intersection on number 3, but we can find it on number 8. So the inverse, I'll leave myself some room over here. First thing I did to x was subtract 1. Then I cubed. Then I multiplied by 3. Then I added 4. So for the inverse, I'm going to subtract 4. Divide by 3. Cube root. And add 1. So x minus 4, divide by 3, cube root, add 1. So f of x is symmetric about 1, 4. So that means the inverse is going to be symmetric. It's 100 and 180. 180 rotational symmetry. About 4-1. The domain and range is going to be all real numbers for both. I'm going to just do both at the same time. Use y1 and y2 to find my y-intercepts. And so that'll find my x-intercepts as well. Math 4 gives me a cube root. I need parentheses x minus 4 divided by 3. Add 1. So 0, f of x was 1. And over here, the y-intercept of f inverse is negative 0.1. So that's my x-intercept of f of x. So my y-intercept over here, or my x-intercept over here, is the y-intercept from f of x. So now I need to find the intersection so I can graph. Looks like I'm going to need to zoom in. So I can do zoom in, enter. It gets a little bit closer. Maybe I can find my intersection now. I'm going to zoom in again. Press enter. Now I can clearly see my intersection. So I'm going to do second calc, number 5, intersection, enter. So the first curve, see if I can find my cursor somewhere. I'm way off on the right. I need negative x's. So I can see my cursor. So the first curve, I'm going to the left, enter. Go to the right, enter, enter. So my intersection is at negative 0.11, comma, negative 0.11. That's cute. The x and the y are the same. Okay, so number 9 is asking for the transformations from the parent function. So I gotta look at what is that 2 doing, that 4 doing, that 1/3 doing. 2 is on the inside with x and it's being subtracted. So that means my function's being shifted to the right 2. That 1/3 is on the outside, so that's going to be my vertical stretch or compression. It's less than 1, so it's a vertical compression. It's making my y's smaller by a factor of 1/3. That 4 is on the outside of everything, so that means that I'm picking up all my y values and shifting them up 4.